This is the Jim Heath channel. Next, a casual conversation about the Electoral College Map and why 5 states are key to this year's presidential election. Now, here's Jim Heath broadcasting from Studio 1H, where facts come first.
Studio 1H, always my favorite. I mean, look at the view. I mean, palm trees back there. Got the fire going. We're in the dead of winter. Talking about the electoral map for this year. What could possibly be better than being broadcasting from Studio 1H tonight? Before we get started, a note was left on one of the recent videos from G. Goswell 9. Hey Jim, why not a daily electoral map update? Well, I would support that. I would be here. I live here in Studio 1H. Who wouldn't want to live here in this studio? So I would certainly be willing to do that on a daily basis. But unfortunately, to update the electoral map, particularly this far out, I mean, we're in the winter of 2024. Election of 2024 seems like it's a million years away, which it might as well be. I mean, we're 9 or 10 months out. And so without updated polling information, there'd be nothing really new to say. So it would just be me repeating what I had said yesterday over and over again. While that might appeal to some, my guess is it does not appeal to most. So we won't make it daily, at least until we get into deep fall, and then, we'll take another look at it. Might be enough information to warrant that. I want to get started by talking about the Big Five. These are the Big Five states that I've identified as the must-wins, or a combination of them are must-win. And they are Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and the state of Arizona. These are truly states right now, as we head into the 2024 general election cycle, that are too close to call. The polling margins right now have Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and a new poll out today, Michigan, which is a little bit outside the other recent polls, but they have Biden doing better in those states, and they have Trump, most polls have Trump doing better in Georgia and Arizona. So these are the Big Five. If you take a look at what happened in 2016, Donald Trump won all 5 of them. And 4 years later, he lost all 5 of them. Joe Biden won them. Several of these states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, are part of what we traditionally have called the blue firewall states. These are states that have gone blue, have voted for the Democratic presidential candidate time and time again. In 2016, that firewall cracked, as we just saw there, for Donald Trump. And Hillary Clinton lost those critical states, Pennsylvania and Michigan, and that sunk her election. But they came back together again. The coalition that makes those states go blue, it reformed for Joe Biden, and he carried those states. And we're still watching them very carefully here in 2024 as we begin, as I said, the election cycle, because they are going to be the most expensive, hotly contested states this cycle. So I want to go through this electoral map and get to these 5 final states by taking a look at what will happen hour to hour on election night. This first map is an example. I mean, these are the first 3 states that are always called. Indiana and Kentucky will go for Donald Trump, and Vermont, the home of Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders. That state will go blue, and it will go for Joe Biden. If we fast forward to 7 o'clock, you can see that another handful, another chunk of states are there. We're going to go ahead and call Florida, which will take a little bit longer than right after polls close. But for the sake of our discussion today, at the end of the day, I believe Florida will go for Donald Trump. So while it won't be called right away, within that hour after the polls close, Florida, I believe, will go red. Virginia, I believe, will go blue. And you'll notice there that Georgia is not yet called. And that's a pretty critical state. And it's going to take a while. It's one of the 5 that we've been discussing. It's going to take a while for us to get there. At 8 o'clock, a bigger chunk, a big chunk of states come into play. And you can see Texas, we're going to go ahead and make that red. Joining Florida and Ohio, those are 3 huge states Florida and Ohio used to be battlegrounds. Both of those states, Ohio and Florida, went for Barack Obama, both in 2008 and 2012. But they have been trending Republicans. So we're going to go ahead and paint those red. But you can see now 4 of our 5 pivotal states are still too close to call: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. But Donald Trump, at this particular hour, at the 8 o'clock hour, Eastern Standard Time on election night, has a big lead. He's closing in on 270. That's what you need to win. He's got 197. Joe Biden only with 94. So let's fast forward to 9 o'clock, 1 hour later. More states close. And now Joe Biden has added the state of New York. That's a big chunk, 28 electoral votes, joining the 19 from Illinois and the 10 from Minnesota. Plus we throw in 15 from Colorado and New Mexico. Trump up to 218 as he continues to win the middle of the country. And Joe Biden has 148. But you'll notice again, we believe, even when these states are called during the 9 o'clock hour, that Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia are still going to be too close to call. Let's fast forward another hour to 9 o'clock. And you'll see here that now all 5 of our too close to call states are on the board. Arizona joins the other 4. More red states out west for Donald Trump. He's up to 238. He is closing in on that 270 that he needs to return to the White House. Joe Biden way behind at 148. And the West Coast comes in. We've gone ahead and added Hawaii as well. The California, Oregon, and Washington for Joe Biden. We've put Alaska in the red column for Donald Trump. This is when things begin to really tighten up. When California reports in, 241 for Donald Trump, 226 for Joe Biden. Again, what you're looking at here are just, I mean, for people, junkies like us, hopefully you watching and me who's been around. By the way, I've been calling these electoral college maps since I was in college.
Now projects the state of Indiana.
So there's video of me doing this back in 88. There's video of me doing this back in 92. When I got into broadcasting in 2000, of course, that was the closest election of all between Bush and Gore. Took over 5 weeks to decide who won that one in a Supreme Court decision, 5-4 Supreme Court decision. So I've been at this a long time. And so people who've looked at these maps, I mean, you just know Wyoming is going to go red, and you just know California is going to go blue. You just know that South Carolina is going to go red and New York's going to go blue, that sort of thing. So, you know, is it possible that somebody really breaks loose come fall? We'll talk about that in a second. We'll see what the parameters are. We'll see exactly what the parameters are of quote-unquote breaking loose and having a big landslide election, what that possibly could look like. But right now, at this hour, 11 o'clock hour Eastern Time, this is what happens when we call 2 of the states that are currently leaning to Joe Biden early in the year. During the winter of 2024, Biden is consistently leading in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. So we've gone ahead and we've thrown those 2 blue states to Joe Biden. And now it's 255. He's 15 short of 270 for the win. Trump is still at 241. 3 states to go. Our 3 pivotal states remain: Arizona, Georgia, and Michigan. This is what happens when we give the 3 remaining states, all 3 of them, to Trump. He wins with 283 electoral votes, and Joe Biden ends the night with 255. This is our January 2024 electoral vote forecast that is available for you to watch if you just click at that link above that's hopefully appearing right now. This is how we called it, because polls up to this point have consistently shown that Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan are leaning towards Trump. However, I should add the caveat that a recent poll, credible poll, came out showing Biden now leading in Michigan, and that's the type of thing we're going to see all year. I think these polls are going to be back and forth, and so that gives us pause at this point of calling Michigan so clearly for Trump. As a matter of fact, if you give Michigan to Biden, he wins. 270 electoral votes to 268. That's giving Georgia and Arizona to Trump, but giving Michigan now to Biden. This also is what happens if by some chance Trump rescues Michigan but lets Georgia slip, and Biden wins with 271 electoral votes. So Michigan and Georgia are particularly vital here to the mathematics of getting to 270 electoral votes. You see just how pivotal they are. Once we call the rest of the states how we think they're going to go, all of a sudden Michigan, Georgia in particular are the two real players. At least this is how we see it at this point. Now, what does a big win look like for Joe Biden? By my estimation, looking at the map, it's giving him all 5 of those battleground states, and he ends with 303 electoral votes, and Trump ends with 235. So this gives Biden Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada, which right now is on the edge. Could go either way. I view that as sort of the 6th pivotal state, but not the top 5. So that's giving sort of everything to Joe Biden. His best case scenario, Joe Biden's landslide, the way I see it at this point, is 303 electoral votes. What does Donald Trump's landslide look? It's sort of the complete reverse. It's giving him Nevada plus the 5 battlegrounds. So in this map, Trump sweeps Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and also Nevada. And he ends up with 312 electoral votes. This is sort of the best case scenario that I can forecast for Donald Trump. Anything outside of this would be political earthquake numbers. What would cause that? Maybe an unpopular war breaks out. Maybe the economy tanks really, really bad, that there's a bubble that bursts and the economy goes completely haywire quickly. Or maybe the death of the president, something like that, that would throw the election into chaos. And then you can look beyond this possibility. But for right now, in realistic terms, this is sort of the margin. A 303 quote-unquote blowout for Joe Biden and a 312 quote-unquote blowout for Donald Trump. That's sort of where I believe they can tap out, short of some major event happening in the fall. So there you go. That's where it kind of comes down to. I've shown you the parameters of where Trump and Biden can realistically max out if things are really going their way come late October and early November. To be honest with you, I think that those 5 states are going to hold during the year. I think that Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona are going to be key to all this, where you're going to see so much money that's spent. There are some caveats to this election year, particularly regarding Trump and his court cases that could provide some interesting twists. But in reality, I think both Trump and Biden are going to be on the ballot. They have 100% name ID. The American people know who both of them are. And I think the decision will be whether you want to return to the style of leadership of Donald Trump or stick with Joe Biden. And people are going to have to make that decision. But the people in those 5 states that we're really homing in on are really going to be critical. And if you want to volunteer for either one of these candidates in any of those 5 states, they'd probably much appreciate it, because to get to 270 electoral votes, those key 5 states this year are just going to be the magical states that determine the future of our country. All right, I'm Jim Heath. Thanks so much for tuning in the channel. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you can. We are broadcasting from Studio 1H. I love Studio 1H. Hope you do too. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and if you're feeling generous, hit the thanks button below. Follow Election 24 right here on the Jim Heath channel, where facts come first.